begun. So welcome everyone. You are attending just one of the coolest features and programs at the University of North Florida, the S.A.I.L program, Student Athlete Institute of Leadership. It is our 5th session. And it started out as such a popular program, and we had such great feedback. We actually opened it up to all students at UNF, whether it be students in my class, students throughout the university, and even in the community. So we're absolutely thrilled to have you here tonight. We have a very special guest as our keynote speaker. It might take me a while, it may take me about 30 minutes to get into this full bio with all the accolades for the speaker. But let me at least take a stab at it. So first of all, welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Matthew Olson. I'm the director of the Taylor Leadership Institute. And I first want to thank my team for helping make this session a reality after we had to move from a face-to-face session to now in our new virtual world. We were able to make it happen. So Corey, Corinne, Mike, the entire team, thank you for making that happen. And Corey, thank you so much for being here and being the behind the scenes person to make sure everything's working fine. So a little bit about our featured speaker tonight. So Natalya Bannister serves as the executive director of the PACE Center for Girls in Gainesville, where she paves the way to a brighter future for at-promise teenage girls who have experienced severe trauma and abuse. She was hired as the youngest executive director in the history of the organization in 2014, where she has had unprecedented success.
Just a second. Okay.
And I can put my Siri off and make sure that doesn't happen again. Prior to assuming the helm at PACE, Natalya was vice president of the Boys and Girls Club of Alachua County. That's actually where the first time where I met Natalya, and had a great partnership and collaboration between University of Florida, where I was getting my PhD, and the work she was doing in the Boys and Girls Club. At the Boys and Girls Club, she earned numerous national awards in programming, marketing, and communication. She was also awarded the Boys and Girls Club's America's highest honor for program excellence 4 years consecutively. Additionally, Natalya has been recognized as one of Gainesville's top 40 under 40 business leaders, a recipient of the University of Florida's Alumni of the Year Award, and was most recently recognized as a 2020 Women of Distinction. Natalya was also a TEDx UF speaker, where she shared her revolutionary idea of the power of leading with love. Now, a second-year doctoral student at UNF, she is strengthening her leadership philosophy with research and science to support the next generation of leaders. With leadership theories rooted in love, her goal is to inspire individuals as they discover and grow in their passions and embrace healthier, fulfilling, purpose-driven lives. So without further ado, we have Natalya Bannister.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to join today, and I just want to give a big shout out to Dr. Olson, of course, for inviting me. It's truly an honor to be here today. Even though it's virtual, I did plan to see you all in person, but I'm so excited to be able to do this virtually. And especially through times like this, I'm just grateful that we have the technology to be able to do it. So hi, everybody, virtual hugs. So let's get right into it. So I think this program is absolutely amazing. Leadership is my passion. I wish that when I was in college that there was a program like this for me to join. So please take full advantage of all the opportunities this is offering you, because it will definitely help set you up for the future. So when I was asked to speak, Dr. Olson said, let's talk about leading with love. That's my passion, but through adversity, because truly my story is rooted not only in love, but with love, lots and lots of adversity. And I'm sure that's no different than many of you. So the Leading with Love concept, it really started when I was asked to do my TED Talk. So last year, they asked me my story. They said, we heard about your, what you do for girls in our community. We heard about all these accolades that you get, whatever, but we want to know more about you. And as I started telling them my story, the TEDx folks who were interviewing me, the underlying theme was love at its core, along with adversity. But as you know, sometimes following your heart, you run into a lot of challenges. And I kind of had to outweigh, am I going to follow my passions, my purpose, where my heart is taking me, and deal with these challenges? Or am I going to take an easier way and get a normal 9 to 5, make everybody in my life happy, and just live a life that makes other people happy? So I will start with that. Where I met Dr. Olson, I was really young. I'm still kind of young, but I was pretty young. I was still in college, and I was volunteering with an organization. And every day that I went, I felt so fulfilled. And I was actually applying to law school. I don't know if Dr. Olson knew that at the time, but I was applying to law school. Because I always knew I was going to be a lawyer, but it wasn't because I knew in my heart. It was because so many people always told me since I was a kid, you're going to be an attorney, you're going to be a lawyer. And things like that stick with you as a child. It becomes a part of your identity. So you have to pay attention to the things that are kind of rooted in you when you are a child. So I grew up, just thinking, all right, well, I'm just going to be a lawyer. And I wanted to help children. I wanted to help families. So I wanted to get into family law. So my senior year in college at UF, go Gators, I decided that the work I was doing was so fulfilling to me that I couldn't remember why I wanted to be a lawyer anymore. And I decided that I needed to really reevaluate, why am I going to be an attorney? And it took, I was already thinking about these things. And then it took this one little girl to say something to me that absolutely changed my life. So where I worked was in a public housing community. And these children lived far below the poverty line, beyond, the challenges that they face every day were just unbelievable at times to think about. And one of the girls said to me, she had to be about 7 years old. She said to me, brown people don't go to college. And I looked at her and I said, what? I'm in college. I'm a Gator. I'm at UF. And she just looked at me like I was some form of alien. She thought I was lying. I had to pull my student ID out and say, no, I'm in college at UF. And she kind of rolled her eyes and was like, all right, sure, it's a fake ID. And, you can giggle about it for a second. And then I went home and I couldn't stop thinking about it. It kept me up all night, actually, because I thought, how many more of those children actually feel that way? And I realized it was because of generational poverty. Their parents, their grandparents, many of them all grew up in that community and never left. So a lot of them, by the time they turn 18, get an apartment in the same area and continue to grow out. A lot of them do not make it out. And I could relate some ways personally. And I was just, a part of my soul was like, I can't leave this girl behind. But the girl symbolized a lot of kids. I can't leave these kids behind. So I made a very difficult decision to, put my law school applications aside. And I was deep in the law school application. If you have ever thought about applying to law school, it is a lot of work. There was a lot of money invested, a lot of time invested. My family was invested. And I had to make a decision. Do I want to follow my heart and help these children, which is what I felt every night. I was like, if I could do this for the rest of my life, I would do this. And I just said, you know what, why not? I'm just gonna do it. So I made the calls that I needed to make, the family members who supported my trajectory to go to law school. And I let them know that, this is the path I want to take in life. And it was truly rooted in love. It was rooted in love for the children, love for what I want to do in life. And it was the best decision I ever made. Now, did that adversity stop there? Absolutely not. But it was worth every single challenge. So I finally decided to move into that career realm, and I just started working in nonprofit. And I worked my way up really, really quickly. And as potential leaders out there, I want to tell you something really, really important. Don't focus on the dollar sign too early. Your wealth will come with your knowledge. Try to figure out as many things as you can, as quickly as you can. Learn from people around you. Don't worry about how much extra they're going to pay you for the extra work. The extra work is the value in that experience. And I was able to move up so quickly throughout that organization that while I was getting my master's, I was already managing several different sites. And then by the time I graduated, I was already vice president managing all of the sites. So it wasn't like I was getting raise after raise. There was many times that I said, I don't want to raise. I know we don't have, this is a nonprofit sector. Again, this is not a field you go into to be rich. This is a field you go into to help. This is a service. But I know many of us, we got to pay our bills. So I understand all of that too. But by the time I became vice president, we won all these amazing awards, and I felt so fulfilled. But then I knew there was like the next step for me, and that next step came with adversity. So there were people who thought that I was too young, that I was maybe not the right skin color, that maybe they didn't like my hair. There were so many different things against me about why I shouldn't make it to the next level as an executive director or CEO from people in the community. And I had to make a really difficult decision. That was one of the most painful career moments of my life. And at the time, it was heartbreaking. Now I say I am so happy that it happened because I learned so much. And I'll talk about that in my 6 points of resilience a little bit more. But these painful moments really, they're defining moments in your life where you really figure out who you are going to be as a leader, as a person, for the rest of your life. So I made the decision actually, I was recruited by several different agencies in the meantime. So when you do really good work at the same time, people will notice you. So that's a good thing. So I got recruited by a few agencies, and one was Pace. And quickly, I got the job. And my heart was all in. At first, I thought, oh, I can't work for any other organization. But as soon as I met the girls, I was 100% in, because they were like touching my hair, asking me if my eyelashes were real. They were like, they treated me like I was Beyonce. And I was like, this is where I needed to be. Because I want to be whatever these girls need me to be. And I've looked at them as like the most brilliant, amazing, brave girls that I ever met in my entire life. So I needed them just as much as they needed me. So I took the helm of that organization. I've been there for about 5 years now. I was hired as their youngest executive director, which also came with its challenges. And I'll talk about that more later. But we have had amazing success. And a lot of the things that people said that were the things that will hold me back were the things that really propelled me forward. And I'm really proud to say that being authentic is my superpower. And I'll talk to you more about that too. So with all that said, that is a little bit about my story. And I want to give you important takeaways. So I thought I could share this story, I can go on and on and on, but I want you to have these takeaways when you leave today, because you are going to go through adversity. I'm sure you've already been through many adversities throughout your life. But you're in a place where you have lots of decisions to make, like life-changing decisions. Things are gonna determine like what's gonna happen for the rest of your life. And you're going to have to be able to be resilient through these setbacks, because you will run into setbacks. So I have 6 points of resilience for battling setbacks today. So first and foremost, it's kind of what I was saying before, is be authentic to who you are. That's number one. And you'll always go back, whether I go 1 through 6, it will always take you back to number 1. You have to be true to who you are, because your differences are truly what makes you valuable. And sometimes people might not make you feel like that in the moment, but you have to understand that within yourself. It is freeing. It's not easy all the time to be authentic, because you don't always feel accepted in every space, but you have to know exactly who you are. Now, being authentic doesn't mean being a jerk. So let me put that out there too. You have to be kind. Don't be like, I'm just mean. That's who I am. And think that everybody's going to just, fall on board with that. Being kind is important too, but be authentic to who you are as far as your values, what you really want out of life. Remember, sometimes when people have an issue with who you are, it has more to do with them than it actually has to do with you. So being authentic really, it's important to understand that, so that it doesn't stifle you in being authentic, because it can do that. I've experienced that many times. People telling me, trying to put me in their box. When people try to put you in their box of what they think a leader should look like, a leader should do, how a leader should speak, or be, you have to know who you are and make sure that you're comfortable with that, and not fall into what someone else tries to put you in, that box that they try to put you in. Trying to put yourself in that mold will hold you back from your full potential, and you'll be reaching their full potential instead of your own. So it's extremely important to remember that. So give yourself permission to be yourself. It's extremely freeing. You are freeing yourself from others' expectations. You can finally choose your own course, and that is so much power in your life. So be you. No one else in the world can do that except for you. So that's number 1, be authentic at all costs. Number 2, practice patience. And I'm a millennial, and we get criticized a lot for wanting things very, very quickly. Once you get a title, you want the next title. I got a raise, I want another raise. I did something good, give me a bonus. And I work with millennials. I'm a millennial. I've seen it. Not all of us are that way, but it happens. Now, because we live in a time where things are so immediate, it's easy to feel that way. And a lot of us know our worth, so we do want more. But practicing patience is really, really important for all aspects of your life. You are able to focus on the things that are outside of your control. Like, stop focusing on things that are outside of your control. It gives you less anxiety and stress. So when you practice patience, you kind of let that go. It is completely unrealistic to think that things are going to happen overnight for you. You have to be patient and go through your process and be okay with that. Practicing patience is the ability to not let life's changes, delays, and setbacks define your future. It's the ability to really have stillness in the midst of disappointments. So practice patience. Things will come, and it will come in the time that it's supposed to come. The next one is so important, and I refer to this one a lot, is embrace your journey. And every single part of my journey, the good, the bad, the ugly, I am grateful for all of it. I will start off with this. Don't compare your journey to anyone else's journey. Your timing is your timing. Be inspired by other successes, but never compare yourself, because everybody has their own journey to go through. Ask yourself as well, if a door is closed, was that really the door for you? It doesn't necessarily mean you failed. It just might not be the door for you. So embrace those moments where there's a no. And there's going to be a lot of no's, and I'll be talking about no's and no's and no's a little bit later too. So one of the greatest gifts you can ever have is a closed door. Because if you think about it, when I think about my past, if I were to, let's pick any organization, work with an organization where the people don't believe in me, how successful or far can I really get? So it's important to just pay attention to the doors that are opening for you and the doors that are closing, because it's not a failure. It's just really might just not be meant for you. So embrace the good and the bad. Embrace the fair and especially the unfair, because there's a lot of unfair that happens. Many things in life that happen, they're just not fair. I've just learned to embrace that. Whether it's now or later, if you haven't had that yet, but you will, it never ends. You will experience things that feels fair or unfair. But the unfair things that happen in your life, that is the part of your story that usually hurt the most. But I want you to remember that those unfair moments that you have no control of are usually the most game-changing moments in your entire life. So they become like the most important parts of your story. So I want you all to like think about something like really, really unfair that's happened in your life or is happening right now. And think about the emotion that it makes you feel, whether it's anger, sadness, whatever emotion that it makes you feel. How can you turn that into motivation? All of those feelings, how can you turn that into motivation? Do it for the unbelievers, do it for the haters, but especially do it for yourself. These are the most defining moments of your life. How you tackle those unfair moments. So if there was a Lifetime movie special about you, that would be like the best part of the movie. That would be like why people tune in. They want to see how you dealt with that part of your life and how we can all learn from it. So just remember, in those moments, they're going to be hard, but you're going to get through it. And really embrace it and look back on it and use it for the rest of your life. So the next one I have is number 4, which is build a community of support. It's extremely important to have mentors. I can't stress that enough. Mentors you can turn to for advice. If you do not have a mentor, I suggest that you find one. A mentor is not just like this mythical, like really a high achieving person that it could be anybody. It can be your best friend. It's people who are willing to be honest with you and support you from a loving place. So surround yourself with people who share your values, but offer diverse perspectives as well. That's really important, as well as having mentors. Think about the 5 people that you spend the most time with. They have the most significant influence on your life. So if you are the smartest person in that group of 5, you are in the wrong group of friends. You need to make sure that you are talking to people who don't always agree with you, people who know more than you in other ways. Embrace friends that offer you constructive feedback. I can't tell you how many friends that I have that I get in like full-blown arguments with out of love, but they're like so important and impactful in my life. Like the feedback that you get, you might in the moment, you're like, I can't believe she said that or he said that. And then you're like, wow, I had no idea that perspective was even out there. And it's important to learn those things about yourself, not just about how you see yourself, but how others close to you see you. Also, your friends that really believe in you. They're your biggest cheerleaders. You need those friends, the ones that push you to do things that you never thought you can do. You know who they are. Some of them are on here watching me now. Hey, cheerleader friends. We all need those friends that just really believe in you, and you offer them that same support as well. It's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. So be your friends' cheerleaders as well. And just people who understand you, whether it's your mom, your aunt, your best friend, the people you don't have to explain a whole lot to, just a shoulder to lean on. But make sure you have a diverse group of people around you that get you in different ways so that you have a support network that you can turn to throughout your life. And it's extremely important that they're a diverse group that you can depend on. So number 5, be a lifetime learner. So when I say be a lifetime learner, it doesn't matter if we're talking now all the way until like we're in our 80s. We are always going to learn. And at every different phase of our life, we're going to learn new things about ourselves, new things about the world. Do not be afraid to fail. As someone who has struggled with perfectionism, I have learned that trying not to fail has only held me back. It is okay to fail. There's a lesson in every single experience, especially our setbacks. So go ahead and fail, especially right now. You all have the time. This is a time in your life where you go out and try everything it is that you want to try safely. And after the CDC guidelines tell us we can go out and do things that we can do again, be safe. But take risks, and it's okay to fail as long as your heart is in it, with love at the core, of course. So go ahead and fail, and then learn why you failed. And then go ahead and win. And then learn why you won so that you can continue to do it again and again and again. So continuously learn from your mistakes, learn from your wins, and then give back and share with others, especially your circle of network, people that you may become a mentor to. These are the things that you're going to end up sharing. Just like I'm sharing with you the things that I've been through, I wouldn't have a story to tell you if I didn't go through some failures and setbacks in my life that I had to deal with. So make sure you embrace it. Yes, it sucks when it happens. I am not going to sugarcoat it. It is difficult to deal with failures, especially when you're someone who tries to be a high achiever all the time, but high achievers must fail in order to learn. So again, refer to number 3 as a lifetime learner. Learn from your journey. Your journey is your best compass. It prepares you for like every next level of your life is your journey. Refer back to the things that you've been through. Every single setback that I've ever had has been a lesson. It's become the coursework that I refer to when challenges come against me again. And challenges will come again. They do not end in life. You're always going to go through some sort of challenge. And it's really important that you learn how to deal with those challenges. Not that they won't happen, but that you are a lifetime learner and that you're continuing to learn from every challenge that you deal with. They never stop, but it's how we grow through each one of them. Not just go through it, but grow through each one. That's really going to build a resilience so that you can have the outcomes that you want. And last but not least, say yes to you first. This is simply self-acceptance. Accept you for who you are. This is something that no one can take away from you unless you allow them to. I have a spoiler alert. There will be a lot of no's in your life. And I'm sorry to say that, but it is true. No's will happen to all of us. I have a lot of no's on my belt, and I'm happy for some of those no's. I learned a whole lot about it, but because I know who I am, those no's really don't feel like no's to me. So if you haven't had many no's, just wait. Again, they're coming, but it truly doesn't matter how many no's you get throughout your life. Know who you are. Go back to number 1, be authentic. Number 2, define you. Do not let anyone else in the world do that for you. I don't care what position they hold, how old they are, what their education level is, who they are in your family. This is your life. You have to know who you are. You have to love that person, accept that person, flaws and all. And that is the most important thing, truly. So happiness starts with you. And lots of studies continuously shows this, and Dr. Olson, I'm sure you've seen studies about this, that people aren't genuinely happy because they're successful. They're successful because they're genuinely happy. So don't chase the dollar sign. Don't chase the title. Chase your happiness. And everything else will come into place. And in times like these, it really, really puts that in perspective even more. So chase your happiness. So when you finally say yes to you, there really isn't such thing as a no. So say yes to you, follow your heart, do what you love, and you will always end up right where you are meant to be. And that's what I have for today.
Natalya, thank you so much. That was fantastic. And on a personal note, just to share one of the reasons why this is such a powerful opportunity for me to see someone that I think the first time I met Natalya was back in 2008 as part of a mentoring partnership. And it was a program where very similar to Camp Osprey, what we have here at UNF. And we had a waiting list of about 20 different schools and sites. And the leadership that Natalya showed in her role at the Boys and Girls Club was one of the reasons why, out of all the different sites throughout Gainesville, we picked that one. And for my leadership students who are listening, who are watching this, you find the power in leadership is not about things or just processes or titles, it's people. And when you find people that inspire you to do more, be more, you want to collaborate with them, you want to do great things with them. And then that passion that Natalya shared around, you know, what's best for students, what's best for kids. And hopefully, you know, everyone who's watched this and heard Natalya's story tonight, that passion is really evident. So what a great opportunity tonight, folks. And Natalya, fantastic. And the other thing that I just also want to qualify with folks is the idea that Natalya is now an Osprey. You know, it's a perfect path. You start being a Gator, then you end up an Osprey. So that's, I talk about my salesmanship to convince her to drive 2 hours every time to go to class here at UNF. But we're so thrilled to have you part of the UNF family now. So we have a few questions that came throughout the presentation, but we want to hear from as many folks as possible. So in the Q&A section, if you want to ask some questions for Natalya, I'll be moderating those questions and I'll share them as they come in. Some of them were touched upon during the presentation, but we want to hear from more folks. So attendees, you know, ask away in the Q&A section. All right, Natalya, one of the first questions that came in was from JC. She's in my class, fantastic student. From your bio online, it says you knew you were going to be a lawyer and everyone expected you to become one. Can you talk about what was going on in your mind during this time of switching your goals and the courage it took to follow your passions?
What was going on in my mind is like, how in the world am I going to pay my student loans back with a minimum wage salary working in nonprofits? That was one thing. But honestly, you know, all jokes aside, it really was a matter of chasing my happiness. I went home every day talking about the kids at the Boys and Girls Club. All of my friends even could like recite the kids' names and they've never even met the kids. It was so clear to me that I was trying to live up to a standard that really was an identity that I created by myself, but it was something that was kind of shaped, and not with any, you know, ill intentions, but just what people thought I would be. And I wanted to, as someone who I like to make my family happy. I like to make people happy in general. I wanted to live up to those expectations and then realize that I wasn't I wasn't being authentic to who I was and to my passions and to my purpose. And the deeper I got into working with the kids, I knew that this was what I was born to do. So I I took the chance. It was definitely a risk. But again, that's why I say it's important to take risks, because you never know where they'll take you. It's the best risk I ever took in my life. My family's they're all proud of me now. But yeah, you just kind of have to figure out, like, inside of you, like, weigh out your happiness versus everything else.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, next question is from Michael. Natalya, did you have a mentor or coach when you attended college, or someone to reach out to?
You know what's so interesting? I didn't in college, and I wish that I did. I wish I had a Dr. Olson in college. I would be running for president by now. But no, I didn't have a mentor in college. At UF, it's so big. It was a lot harder, I think, to connect with teachers and professors and things like that. It was once I started volunteering that I was able to connect with some of the leaders in my organization. And I wouldn't even say that they mentored me like hands-on, but one of the best gifts my boss ever gave me at the Boys and Girls Club is complete autonomy. He just had this belief in me, more than I ever had in myself, to just like go out and do it, go do you. And it made me want to make him proud and do right by the kids. And I just threw all of my passions and all of my talents into it. And I failed a lot, and I learned from that, and then I succeeded a lot. But that was the greatest gift he gave me, was autonomy. But I didn't have a lot of hands-on mentors until later in life. But find them now. It would be helpful. Yes.
Excellent. Okay, next question is from Nikki. I'm graduating this semester, congratulations, and looking for full-time jobs. What is your best advice for job searching?
So it depends where you are in your life. There's so many things to weigh out, especially with everything going on right now. I don't want to guide you the wrong way, because there's just so many things going on in this economy. And but let's just say things are back to normal, right? The most important thing for you to do is to figure out what you are passionate about. And if you don't know that yet, get out and volunteer. Think about things that you like. Think about things that you're really good at, and try to find ways to do that. And as you find ways to do that and place yourself, because you don't necessarily have to be the CEO of an organization to be successful. You can have a different title and be contributing and kicking butt in the organization, and that be part of your passion and purpose. So I say, go out there, figure out what's important to you, what you really love to do. I think as long as you follow your heart, you really can't lose. Now, there will be struggles along the way. It's going to be a hard road, and you got to mentally prepare yourself for that. So get your support group in order to cry to get advice from, to fail with and to succeed with, because it's going to be, it's a journey. So this is just going to be another part of your journey that you're going to learn from. But when you finally hit that sweet spot, the sweet spot is when you find something you really love and you're really good at, and you put it together and do it better than anybody else. And then you're going to win.
I love it. This sounds like you need to be teaching my leadership class. All right. So that's after you get your doctorate. We already have a plan in place. All right. Next one from April. Great question, April. How do you show love in your career?
Hi, April. I think I know this person. I show love in my career in every way that I possibly can, especially through leadership. So people ask me about work-life balance, and I always say, like, there's no such thing as work-life balance for me. There's just life balance. My career is a part of my passion and my purpose, so I don't look at it like a job. So I come in and I give everybody my best. I treat people like people. I don't tell my staff to come in and clock out of their personal life and clock into their work life, because it just doesn't make sense. You're asking people to become robots at that point. So the way that I show love in my job is treating everyone like a human being, showing agape love, loving my neighbor, treating them the way I'd want to be treated. And that translates to all the girls. If I'm treating my team that way, then they are then going to show that love to the girls.
Excellent. All right. This is from, let's see, who do we have next? All right. We have an anonymous attendee. Afraid to share who it is. Okay. How can you help someone find bright spots to learn from during a hard time or failure? Are there any key things to look for?
Yeah, in the moment, you probably won't know. when you feel that failure come on, it's okay to embrace that pain. So I think it's okay to just understand that what you're going through, deal with it, manage your mental health, take good care of yourself. And then as you start to process, then you can figure out, how did this failure come about? And I want to make sure I'm understanding the question. Say the last part of the question again.
Are there any key things to look for?
In your field? I think that you have to really process it after a while, because I don't think that I realized my failures were some of like the most important milestones in my life until later. A perfect example is when I was working at the Boys and Girls Club, there was like a huge situation where I had a janitor, and he was so dear to my heart. He was actually special needs, and he was a kid at the Boys and Girls Club. And I gave him a job as a janitor, and he was just so close to my heart. And then there was like this huge issue that happened with detectives, and it was an investigation with some kids. He had nothing to do with it, but I actually had to lay him off due to the investigation. And that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. I cried, he cried, and everything worked out. The investigation, came out, everything was fine. I was able to hire him back. But when I think about that, when I am interviewed at Pace, they asked me what was one of my biggest challenges. That's the first story that came to my head. I was like, well, I had to lay off probably one of the most significant people in my career. And I know, for many people think of a janitor. The janitor is just as important as a CEO. Like, everybody's role is so important. But again, I just think it's important I didn't think about it then, but when you get asked these questions later on, especially as you grow in your career, people want to know how you dealt with challenges. And you go back and you think about, how did I deal with that? Did I do a bad job with that? And then think about, like, how could I have handled that better so that you would get a better outcome? So I hope that answers it.
Excellent. All right, this is from Vanessa. When you changed your career goals and told your family that you no longer wanted to be a lawyer, did you have to deal with anger and disappointment from them? And if so, how did you deal with it?
That's when I learned that it took a while. I'm still learning this. As someone who wants to make my family proud, and I always will want that deep inside, I had to realize that this is my life. This is my life. I cannot live it for anyone else but me, because when I go to bed at night, it's me. When I wake up in the morning, it's me. It was difficult to share that information, especially when they were also invested. But I think the most important thing is to talk to your family about your happiness, your passions, and what your values are. That they may differ from your family's values, and that's okay too, and bring them along with you. They might not get on board right away. Trust the process. They might not ever get on board. And then you might have to be okay with that too. Mine did get on board, but it took like me showing them that my purpose and my passions are actually what's going to make me successful, not following the trajectory they wanted for me, I would have been miserable. They would have had a miserable daughter, niece, all that on their hands if I would have did what they wanted me to do. So I think it's just really important to have these really authentic, genuine conversations around, you know what, maybe this path that you all see for me, it sounds wonderful, and I know it's from a good place, but trust me, in my process, I have to do this for me.
Excellent. All right. So the next one is an anonymous attendee as well. Do you have any recommended opportunities in which one can lead with love? Any specific volunteering opportunities? And what were some of your volunteering opportunities that you found to be most rewarding?
Volunteering opportunities to lead with love, within any, just in general, like in any organization.
I think so.
I think I look at leading with love at like not just work. I look at it like as a lifestyle. So you can lead with love just from the other question that I answered. That's leading your life with love. Being able to tell your family or people invested in you that I can't do this for you. I have to do this for me. That's leading with love. Leading with love is also making sure that everything that you do is rooted in love. So if you have a passion about something, that you are that you are really fulfilling that you are, like if you really care about animals, you're leading with love by going to volunteer, you know, at an animal shelter and support them. There's so many, I think leading with love is personal. It's personal to your passions. It's personal to your purpose. And you have to know what those are. And if you're trying to figure that out, I think it's really important to go out there, take some risk, get out there and figure out what are those things that like keep you excited every day. But there's lots of different ways to lead with love, but I think the most important way to lead with love is with yourself.
Excellent. All right, this is from Lindsay. Did you have to interview for any of the job positions you obtained? Any interview tips?
So for anyone working with PACE, I went through 7 interviews with PACE. And I get it now. There's so many different layers of this job. So yes, I had to interview a lot. I interviewed with the staff. Yeah, I had to interview with the staff, with the girls, with the board of directors, with the executive leadership team that's actually in Jacksonville, Florida, with the CEO. It goes on and on and on. And the interview tip that I would give is, I actually think it's funny now looking back, because one of the ladies who worked for PACE for a long time said, I didn't think you were going to get the job. As soon as I looked at you, I was like, that young girl's not getting this job. So to know that they were all, you know, and she says, you know, of course she was like, I know you know, we're qualified and everything now, but you know, you have to kind of check your biases. People might be biased against you for whatever reasons that they have. I say the number one tip is to just be yourself. I went in there and didn't try to pretend to be anything else but myself. Because if you go into an interview pretending to be someone else or trying to fit into a mold, that's who they're going to expect to see every day. That is not good for your mental health. You want to make sure that whatever job that you're interviewing for, that of course you're using your professional, you know, manners and everything, but that you are showing your true personality, because they're going to hire you or not hire you based on that. And you want someone to hire you based on for who you truly are, so that you can be that when you're working. You're not wearing a mask. You're not clocking out of who you are and becoming someone else. So the most important tip I can give is to go in there and be your best authentic self.
Excellent. All right. Next one. This one is from Isaiah. I love the questions so far, folks. Keep them coming. Great job. Isaiah asked, you talked about the unfair moments being a defining moment. With the emotions that may come along with the unfairness, how do you channel that into motivation?
I'm thinking about my personal experiences with that. So let me process for a second and put that into words. The unfair moments, we don't have control over those. So that's when we put that control piece, part that we want to control, we kind of kick that out the window and realize that there are going to be like so many things that we can't control in life. And that we have to be able to adapt. And whenever those unfair things happen, you learn about why it happened. So that lifetime learner piece comes into place too. Like, why is this so unfair? It probably has nothing you can do about it, or maybe even nothing to do with you specifically. It might just be coming from somewhere else, this unfair piece. But because you can't control that piece, you can control yourself. So once you get to that place of, okay, I'm gonna take your process, go through what you need to go through, because I know I did. I took a lot of time to think about the why. And then finally I was like, I don't know why. And you know what? I don't care anymore. This is what I want to do. And now these people who are so unfair to me, I'm going to not only do this for myself, I'm going to do it in your face. So you can take it a couple of different ways, but really do it for yourself. Channel that emotion into positive energy, because I'm telling you, those unfair stories inspire other people. Many of the most unfair things that happen to me, I get to share with the girls that I work with now, because many of them might deal with some of those things. I get to share with students like you, that you may deal with these unfair things. And if I didn't go through these, I wouldn't be able to share it with you. So it'll become a testimony. It will become something that you can use in different parts of your job one day, who knows, or maybe even in your personal life. So once you go through your process, embrace it, learn from it, and share and help others.
Excellent. All right, we have a question from Mr. Aminu. With being younger than those in the same position, do you feel pressured to be as good as those in similar positions? If so, how do you deal with that pressure?
As good as, I pride myself on not comparing myself with other people, whether they're in my role or in a higher role or whatever role. I am working hard to be my best self. So I really don't feel pressure to be as good as or better than anyone else in my role. I'm constantly challenging myself, which can end up making you better than everyone else in any role if you focus on yourself, because you can't be a better Dr. Matt Olson. He can only be the best Dr. Matt Olson he can be. I can only be the best Natalya I can be. So I don't feel that kind of pressure. I just really have that intrinsic motivation to be my best self. And I know that will bring about whatever outcomes and results our organization needs.
Excellent. And we come to the last question of the night. And I think this has been touched upon in a few ways, but maybe the perfect way to wrap this up, okay, this amazing session tonight. So Natalya, in your life, this is from Adam, one of our great students in the practicum course. In your life, Natalya, what are the steps you take when you do face failures?
Thank you, Adam. I take those steps that I shared with you, all 6. Most of all, I really believe in embracing the journey. Whenever I face a failure, and I still face failures, and sometimes it's not really a failure, it's an experience that was disappointing. You can have experiences that are disappointing, but you can learn so much from them. I'm kind of infusing it with the question that we got right before, like feeling the need to prove anything to anyone else. It's not important to be anything else except your best self. And I know it sounds a little bit redundant, but it's just so important to just take those experiences and learn from them so that you can be your best self. Failures are a part of life. How we deal with them is how it really defines us in life. It builds character, it builds resilience. And that's really, again, that's going to be the highlight of your lifetime movie. Whenever that movie comes out, when you all have movies about yourself or books, that's going to be the part that people skip over to and try to figure out, how did they get over this piece? Learn from it the best way you can. And you might learn new things about it throughout different times of your life. You might not learn it all at once, but situations evolve as you evolve. So I just continue to be a lifelong learner and evolve and learn from every single experience that you have, good and bad.
Okay, Natalya, I'm going to have the last question.
All right.
Final word here, like Jerry Springer. So, question for you: what's next for you?
People always ask me that, and I always say I don't know. I stopped planning my life. Because I used to be like this planner, that whole millennial thing, like I want to be here, here, here by the time I'm this age. It's not as fulfilling as you think. The titles, the money, it's just not my driving force. It's what makes me feel happy and fulfilled is what I'm chasing. And being on this call with you is making me feel happy and fulfilled. And I just want to continue to spread love through leadership, whatever that looks like. I do hope to write a book one day. I plan on continuing to advocate for girls, whether it's I'm going to continue with PACE. I have long-term plans of staying with PACE, but I hope to maybe even influence policy eventually that affect young people. And again, share leadership. And hopefully you can help me with that, Dr. Olson.
Excellent. Great answer. All right. So thank you, everyone. Natalya, thank you on behalf of the Taylor Leadership Institute, UNF, your new academic home, and the entire group that was able to attend tonight. Thank you from the bottom of our heart in terms of helping us to become the best version of ourselves. So thank you. Here's Natalya's contact information. If you thoroughly enjoyed tonight, make sure you tag Natalya, connect with her on social media. For those folks who do that, you contact me and reach out to me and tag me as well, and we'll send you some TLI swag. We always like to throw the UNF TLI swag whenever we can. So thank you, everyone. Make sure you reach out to Natalya. In a few years, will be Dr. Natalya. And just thank you so much. This was a great event. Natalya, any parting thoughts before we close out for the evening?
I just want to thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure being able to talk to all of you. Again, Dr. Olson, thank you for inviting me to do this. It is fulfilling for me, and I hope I was able to help some of you. So thank you.
Without a doubt. Natalya, thank you. And students, community members, staff at UNF, thank you so much for being here tonight. The recorded session we'll share out, and looking forward to seeing the impact from tonight. So thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Be
Bye-bye.
well.